Here with Otis Sanford and Susan Adler Thorp on ABC24 This Week. Thanks for staying with us. We're going to talk about the Memphis mayor's race. And Susan, you've said as long as I've known you that money is the mother's milk of politics. So let's show on the screen here to folks how much money the main candidates have on hand. There's more than a dozen running, but these are the ones that have raised the most money. There's the $500,000 club that belongs to Paul Young and Floyd Bonner. They're neck and neck in terms of raising more than $500,000. Then Van Turner, about half that amount at $212. J.W. Gibson, the businessman, former county commissioner, $150,000. Then looking at the next slate here, we have Frank Colvett, the current city councilman. He's at $90,000. Michelle McKissick, the Memphis Shelby County School Board member, at $60,000, and Willie Harrington, $16,000, the former mayor. But Susan, I dare say, he doesn't care how much money he's raised because he doesn't have to.
He doesn't have to. And really, yeah, money is the mother's milk of politics. But the odd thing is that that money in this race means it's something different, because certainly a Paul Young, who has no name recognition whatsoever, needs the money to buy his name recognition. So does J.W. Gibson, by the way, who I'm doing some consulting with. He needs money to buy his name recognition. Floyd Bonner has a lot of name recognition, but he needs the money to enhance that name recognition and really to protect it. But you get a guy like Willie Harrington, love him or hate him, he has the name recognition bar none, and he's got the record that everybody would covet to have, because he's the one who would say no nonsense, and already has come out, no nonsense with crime. He will take a strong stand against crime. So
they remember him bringing the Grizzlies to town, getting FedEx Forum built.
He changed the face.
That's what I'm hearing on the streets from voters. White and black is this guy got things done.
He changed the face of public housing in this community. Yep. I mean, and look, in downtown, the Renaissance downtown belongs flatly in Willie Harrington's lap. So don't laugh at the 16,000. Now, the truth is, all of us behind the scenes talk about Harrington will probably get 30% of the black vote. That's a large chunk. But that's only 17, 18% of the overall vote. He's got to get the next 8 to 10%, and we'll see how he does it without much money.
How do you look at those fundraising numbers, Otis?
Well, I mean, I think it was expected that Paul Young would be where he is. He's really been courting the business community, and they see him as this fresh face, new age politician that the city may need to look at if we want to go into a direction of looking at younger people to lead the city. I'm not surprised by Floyd Bonner. As Susan says, he has the name recognition there. The problem I see with Floyd Bonner, again, is while he talks a lot about crime, which is what everybody wants to talk about, he gets criticized sometimes for crime whenever Ben Crump comes to town and he's talking about issues related to a sheriff deputy, mistreating somebody. That's not good for Floyd Bonner.
Because the jail's on him. The state constitution says so.
He is the jail.
He is the jail. So with that, but you really do have to look now at Willie Harrington. If people are undecided about where they want to vote and they don't come out to vote, and you have those tried and true people who do vote, they will likely say, well, I've never had a problem with Dr. Harrington. Let him try one more time.
Well,
I'm loath to bring this up because of my age, but we do have to talk about age here now. He's 83 years old.
We have people running for president who are...
Well, they're not 83 yet, so that's a little different.
I mean, that's just a small...
But I don't think that's going to be a factor here.
I don't think so either.
Willie Harrington is fit, and
I want to look like him when I'm 80.
Me too.
I'll tell you that.
So I just think that we better start looking at Dr. Harrington as maybe the comeback kid in this whole thing.
Or take his candidacy seriously. I think that the one who is going to win this thing has to set himself apart from the others when it comes to the issue of crime.
Oh, yeah.
They're all going to talk about crime. I think it's Bonner this weekend is going to march along with C.J. Davis about crime.
With the Memphis Shelby Crime Commission, which we know has done so much to help the crime problem.
Bonner's going to have to say, I am more than this uniform, and he's going to have to prove that to the people. But if I were a candidate, and this is just a little free advice out there, I would call for a crime summit. And I've said it on this program before.
For years you've been saying this.
Yes. We had a job summit in 1979, and it changed the business face of this community. And if we brought in the best and the brightest from around the world to work with the best we have here and turn us into the safest city in the world, I'd be all for it. But we haven't heard about that yet. We're still not quite 90 days away from the election. We've got a lot of ground to cover. Let's see what happens in the next 30 days. A lot will happen.
You know, I don't disagree with that. Do you? I think that the platform on crime needs to be bold. It needs to be, you know, Mayor Strickland got elected and reelected on the crime issue, had some very effective advertising, said I want to hire more cops. Well, that didn't work out very well. The recruiting effort is just, I think there were more roadblocks than he could have ever anticipated in terms of recruitment. But nonetheless, his legacy, I hate to say it, may be the city leaving with a much worse crime problem than when he took office.
Oh, I think that's clearly the case. I mean, look at the record number of homicides, I think 2 years running under his watch. So, I mean, he has to take some responsibility for that.
So my point is, the cynicism voters are going to have, like, well, okay, I voted for Jim Strickland 2 times in a row on a crime platform, anti-crime platform, so whoever I vote for next better promise a lot more than just a few more cops on the streets.
And be a lot more specific about it. The Crime Summit is a great idea, Susan. Other bold initiatives that brings the community, I'm talking about at the grassroots level, this crime problem has to be fought there because we have families, and I've said this a lot, we have a lot of dysfunctional families in this community. Let's be honest about that. And if we are honest about it, we know that a lot of those dysfunctional families are not teaching and raising their kids the way they should be. And we have to intervene in that some kind of way. And it takes a coordinated effort by politicians, by the clergy, by community leaders, by educators. Everybody needs to get involved in coming up with that bold strategy that you're talking about that has to happen.
And we're running late on this segment, but you know, one roadblock, 2 roadblocks perhaps is one way of looking at it, that the mayor, whoever is elected, might face are the individuals of Steve Mulroy, the DA, and the juvenile court judge, Tariq Sugarman, who many people are perceiving are way soft on crime and are going to be roadblocks to any serious crime fighting effort because they're too soft on crime. What are your thoughts about them as well?
Let me make 2 real quick points on this. One is, I think that in this, Jim Strickland, and yes, this is a part of his legacy, but I think in the last year he has done more to turn public perception around to understand that the courts are involved in this problem too.
Hence my question.
Yeah. And the other point I want to make is this is going to be a race for the mayor, which is going to be unusual. There will be very few, if any, people voting against someone. They're going to be voting for the person they think can solve our crime issue. But it won't be, because you can't, it's not a one-on-one or a one-on or 3-person race. It's going to be a 10-person race. You're not going to be voting against someone. You're going to be voting for someone.
Well, very briefly, Richard, to your point about Steve Mulroy and Tariq Sugarman. I haven't heard a lot real publicly from Tariq Sugarman yet, but Steve Mulroy is out there a lot. And it's sort of ironic that someone who is perceived as being soft on crime is seeking the death penalty in 2 cases that recently happened around here, and that's the Ezekiel Kelly and the Cleotha Henderson case.
Well, he wants to be reelected one day.
Well, but at least he's doing it even though he personally opposes the death penalty. Yes, there is a rap against both of those for being soft on crime. They're going to just have to overcome that themselves with trying to convince the public that they are doing what the law requires.
Well, the word on the street is Judge Sugarman is called by Judge Sugar Daddy.
That's a word. That's right.
By some of the criminal defendants out there because they're not expecting to get punished very much. And that's going to be something he's going to have to. We'll see when we're a year into their terms. I'm anxious to see some numbers about differences in arrests made, summons issued, and enforcement.
And that's coming up in September. They took over in September.
Well, Sugarman or Sugar Daddy or whatever you want to call him has a terrible problem in front of him because when you have 12-year-olds and 14-year-olds who don't care, who already know that if they get dragged off to juvenile court by law enforcement, they're going to be back on the streets and maybe, in worst case scenario, they're going to have an ankle bracelet put on their ankle. They may as well have a rubber band put there because there is no one to monitor those ankle bracelets.
That's true. We talked about that before.
It's a joke.
Unfortunately, you're right. All right, we'll take a break. We'll be right back.